What's up, everybody? Give me
What's
one
up?
second while I make sure this shit is going live on Rumble. Make sure this shit actually works. We will be on Rumble, yes, YouTube and Substack today. What is up, everybody? And if you didn't know, yes, Biscuits and I did videos before the Digital Dojo ever happened. So if you don't remember or you're new to the channel, this is actually our episode number 4 outside of the Digital Dojo. Right, Biscuits?
That's right. We actually do other things other than watch fart videos and laugh.
And spin the wheel of fortunes.
Right.
But yes, we are rocking, and we got one quite the one for you. This is going to be awesome because I don't hear a lot of people talking about John McAfee, McAfee, however you say it, anymore, and he needs to be talked about, and his whacked coin, and then we're talking about the Satanic Gotthard Tunnel ceremony, which is something that Biscuits brought to me at least a couple months ago, and when I watched that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is worse than the Satanic halftime Super Bowl shows."
It's real nightmare fuel, that's for sure.
And it had to do with Switzerland, and I was just learning about all the banking and the ties to Switzerland, and so it would make sense that they would be extra excited about this this thing as far as the Satanic banking goes. But then we're also going to get into an unknown ancient Egyptian site that is revealed in the tunnels underneath it. So some of our backgrounds are kind of interesting with putting some of this stuff in when I was searching for stuff. And what's up, everybody? I could go through the list, but I see you all here, and it's awesome. Let's get some comments up on the screen here. So welcome, everybody, on all the platforms. I never put in anything to do with mushrooms. However, this show is going to be quite the trip. So it has to do with above ground and below ground. As above, so below kind of a thing. And so I put as above, so below into the search thing and added samurai, and I ended up with this. But never did I ever put any mushroom in it. And then even if you look at the one behind Biscuits, it was like the mysteries and the shocking truths above and below ground, including the pyramids. And now you get like these creatures, but you also have little shrooms and stuff on the floor bed underground on his picture, and there was never any mentions of mushrooms or anything, so it's a kind of a trip because this obviously is on the title tag, and we're going to be getting into John McAfee, and this ties into some of the story that he tells in this first interview that Biscuits has lined up for us. But Biscuits put this all together, so props to you, brother. We're going to get into this show, and it also ties into something that happened in the last episode of the Digital Dojo. So we'll get to that when it gets to us. But are you ready to just go ahead and proceed with first share? Or what do you want to do?
Sure.
You want to introduce?
Yeah, let me just, like we had talked about the tunnel ceremony thing, and maybe like doing a reaction video to it. But I mean, it's an hour long, right? And so we were both kind of like, I don't want to really like watch this again for like an hour because it's truly creepy. But like I kind of, I guess I follow along, with the mysteries of Egypt, like the pyramids and all of that stuff. And I have been, I've been convinced for like a while that that stuff's much older than I guess the academic assertions regarding the age of the pyramids, being like 3,500 to BC to like 5,500 BC or something, or even having been built, in 40 or 30 or 40 years, like they say, which I just think is probably impossible. So this sort of thing came out recently, which we'll get to, which I thought was very interesting if it's real, but it also is a mystery, right? Like all three of these things are kind of mysteries. And something mysterious did happen the other night on our live stream, which I only noticed after the fact, but you've got to have a lot of context. And the context starts with John McAfee or McAfee, however you want to say it, which
exactly
he was like an influential character for me. I think like I followed him for a long time. I wouldn't say followed him, but I was pretty aware of him for many years because he was an influential guy in the burgeoning sort of internet days, right? Like he was kind of like the pioneer of this antivirus You know, there was, when I was a kid and computers were new and you had to dial in, you know, dial up like, you know, 14,400 baud per second modems and things like that. You know, computer viruses were like were a weird thing. And it seemed like to me they were meant kind of more to just like wreck your shit, really, like for entertainment purposes than to
Right.
just data and stuff. But I mean, certainly there was like corporate data that needed to be protected. And that was kind of how he got his start, I guess. But he turned into this, you know, kind of like bigger than life sort of character that was always very controversial and saying interesting things. But he was really like, he was pretty heavily involved in cryptocurrency and a lot of things. But ultimately, you know, like in 2019, he was a pretty vocal, he was outspoken about, you know, the whole Epstein thing and sort of the blackmail economy. And I think a lot of people don't realize, you know, that there was a YouTube account called Rusty Shackelford, which was, you know, was attributed to John, that did drone flyovers of Epstein Island, you know, while there were feds there, and took videos, posted that. I mean, he was, and he had a crazy life, which, you know, people can go read about. I'm not really going to get into all of that, but specifically, you know, one thing that he did was create this token on the Ethereum blockchain called WHACD. And, you know, he gives a little bit of background about the nature of that token in this short clip. But the thing that, you know, links WHACD and Jeffrey Epstein, and we'll go and look at the Ether scam, we'll go and look at the Ethereum blockchain back at the block where WHACD was originally deployed.
Right.
And, you know, and that'll get us to the context for what we're going to show that happened the other night on our show. So if you want to watch, let's say, like, maybe I think it's the first 4 or 5 minutes of this interview with John. I mean,
I watched it, and I found myself. I watched the whole thing today because I kind of missed John and listening to him and his perspective, and he was definitely an out there guy. It was hard to know whether or not he was a good guy, bad guy, maybe a mixture of both. But I don't think he liked a lot of the scumbags that were in power. But that's just my own take and opinion on him. However, I just think he's just a funny guy. He's also really good at the piano, which is kind of wild how creative, smart, witty, and talented he is in a lot of ways. But this young lady like starts introducing him, and he just starts kind of laughing a little bit. And I just, for whatever reason, it just makes me giggle. But I watched this, and let's watch the first little beginning of it, and then we'll discuss some more as we go. There's another little part of it that I want to play too.
Sure.
Get this.
You're launching your new token called Epstein didn't kill himself. Can you tell me more about this coin? Why do you call it that? And why is Hillary Clinton, who is in the advertisement picture?
Okay, so it's obviously a joke coin, like Doge was a joke
Right.
coin. This is a little bit more of a joke. There are a couple of things. Number one, I believe very strongly that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. And I think it's in the interests of the nation of America and perhaps the world for people to understand that and to find those responsible for it and trace them back to those corrupt individuals in power who can do things like whack people while they're in jail. Being in jail is the easiest place to kill someone. Every gangster knows this. So a little bit to that extent, I took advantage of the memes floating around the internet. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. It was a big meme. Everybody was, making memes. So I thought I would make my own, and mine is the whacked token. And what happens is on every transaction, 10% is skimmed off the top. So the receiver loses 10%, and one in every 1,000 transactions, the receiver loses everything. It's the entire transaction is just whacked. So the coin acts like a crypto environment in which there are criminals skimming off the top, and there are people whacking the entire assets of someone else. Now, what's not the joke, and after constructing this, I realized that, oh my God, we've created a true deflationary token,
Yeah.
meaning those who want to exchange or sell their tokens early on will be the losers, right? Because the more they sell, the less volume there is. I mean, the less quantity of tokens, the less supply. And those who are holding on to their supply will see that supply increase in value. So it's just a
Yeah.
great social experiment.
But why is Hillary Clinton hood in the picture?
You know, I know nothing whatsoever about the lady. And seriously, I've never had dinner with her, never even shaken her hand. So I am not one to ask anything about her. I mean, rumors on the internet are just rumors on the internet. I mean, they're sparked by God knows what and extinguished by the next rumor.
So it was just a
so
joke.
pardon?
I said it was just a joke. Only
It was
joke.
just a joke. Yes, it was just a joke, of course. The whole thing was, it's a meme. You know, the meme is making something funny that looks at a situation from a funny or interesting aspect. That's all. And so people are creating memes. This one is mine.
So, did you know Epstein personally?
No, I did not.
Okay. And what do you think about China coin, digital currency, electronic payment? Will the US make a decision?
I don't know if we need to get into that. That's for sure. They start talking about all the world currencies eventually needing to go to crypto. But go ahead, man. I mean, I have my own stuff. But go ahead and talk.
Well, so I just want to give a little bit of provenance for because it's, you know, first of all, people probably see things in a lot of these video compilations and stuff that don't necessarily make sense. I put a lot of things into the videos that we show, mostly to entertain myself. You know, there's
Right.
things that are encrypted in weird and silly ways, and I put something. Well, I put quite a few things in that compilation that we did, the one in question the other night. And if you'll go to that Etherscan link.
Yes, I can get that one. Let's get it pulled up.
So I'm
this one.
Yes, this is the whacked contract address. So, like every cryptocurrency on the Ethereum blockchain has an address for the source contract, and that address is up there at the top. Now, if you will click on where it says contract, bottom down, down in the row where it says transactions and so on. Over here it says contract, yes, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom. Right there where it says swarm source, copy that, and then navigate to md5generator.com. And so this is the series of actions that led to one particular string of characters that I put into that video, which flashed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not having anything pop up on the screen. Is that what we're looking at? Because all I get is white. Here, I'll show you. I tried to do this before too, and I don't know if it's just getting blocked because I have an ad blocker on.
Hang on, I'll send you a link. Oh, I'm telling you the wrong address. My bad. It's md5-generator.com. I'm sorry.
MD5 hash.
Here. Paste it in
Oh,
our chat. Sorry about that confusion. Anyway,
no worries.
so if you will paste in the swarm source address, so the
Into
number that
this?
you, yes, and then click generate. The number that you just copied, oh, sorry, actually delete the BZZR / at the front of that.
Oh, just that part of it?
Yeah. There you go. And then generate. So the number that you copied is, you know how I like to use ETH to send you documents and things like that. You send me files in the same way sometimes. And you get this hash address, which is the address of where that file is. And it's being stored on this network of nodes on the ETH which runs, I'll say runs on the Ethereum blockchain. Anyway, so you copied the source address for John McAfee's Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself coin. In other words, it all traces back to that address. You pasted it into this hash generator, which encrypted it with this MD5 algorithm. And the middle number there, the MD5 hash, starts with DD and ends with 72. That is the number that scrolls up on the screen in this video.
What you were doing?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I gotcha.
So because the video compilation that we were watching was about Jeffrey Epstein's death in prison, right? With all these AI generated clips of how it might have happened, various superheroes, fictional characters, whatever. I said, it's a joke. And I thought, well, so I always throw shit like this into these videos. I'll throw in Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself coin, basically, right? Because to me, it's a joke. And so I put that in there. And
I want people to so they understand what we're talking about. So on our last Digital Dojo Variety Show, we're going to get to this shortly, but he's talking about the numbers that were on the screen during the time that we were showing this video that had different ideas of what actually happened during the missing minute of the Epstein prison log. Okay, so now just people understand that this number stuff that he's talking about right now, so that you're not confused, is what Biscuits added to the screen during that video, which makes it, more fun for him. Most people were like me, were like, what the fuck do those numbers mean? Now you have a little idea of what they meant.
So this MD5 hash, we may as well say for our purposes here that this string of characters, DD blah 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 072, translates into English as Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's the meme that John McAfee channeled into this coin. Okay. And so in my mind, and I think if you were to ask an AI to translate this into English, it would translate as Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, because that's what John McAfee meant when he made, that's what he stated when he made the coin. That's what the coin is about. This translates directly to the swarm source address from which that coin was originally deployed. And we've just shown that. We've just shown that on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay. And we'll get into some more stuff about the coin, another 5 minutes or so after we watch this video. But I want to get to this because it blew my mind. So when we do this thing live, you can't get subtitles. You have to watch it and be able to hear it in order to be able to understand what's going on. But Rumble and YouTube and all of these other, I assume all of them, utilize a mechanism where they have an AI that is scanning the live stream and transcribing the dialogue into closed captions, which are auto-generated and have nothing whatsoever to do with the creators. There's no interaction that we have with it, right? You just do a live stream, and once the live stream ends and becomes just part of your content, it is associated with that file, that transcript. And if you turn the closed captions on, you will see an auto-generated closed caption file that plays, and you'll see the words that people are saying, presumably. And I'll tell you, it's impressively accurate. I mean, they do a really good job. The error rate on them is pretty low.
Right.
I mean, there's you see errors generally with like
Names,
homonyms and names.
mhm.
Like where a word will, like there, and there, and stuff like that. Typical errors that you could expect, where it appears that there's not a lot of contextual analysis that's going on, and it's just an audio to text. But I mean, if you look back on, I think it was like our episode 2, maybe, when we talked about the Hive AI, which is what Truth Social uses to moderate. I suspect it's what Rumble uses to moderate and also to generate
Right.
closed caption files. It has and does, it has the ability, and it utilizes the ability to scan images as well for guns, for objectionable pornography, for things that would get the video removed because of violation of the terms of service. So it's doing a scan of the actual image that's playing on the screen as well, and it can scan text that displays on the screen. I mean, we all spent years fumbling around with those CAPTCHA programs, trying to figure out which characters were which in order to prove that we weren't a robot. And one of the things that we were doing beyond proving that we're not a robot is training these AIs so that they can derive a transcription of text from an image file where text is present. And so I consider, when I put text and stuff like this on the screen, that it is being read effectively by whatever AI is generating these caption files. So when I review our episodes, as I always do, I always review them with the closed captions on. Partly because it's just data, and I'm, how I am. Like every bit of data that I generate or that is generated as a result of my actions, I try to evaluate or capture. And I texted you, I think, late that night, and I was like, "Yeah, this is very weird. What has occurred?"
I knew you were tripping balls on this. And that's why the shrooms also in this episode with our pictures showing up everywhere makes sense, because this episode's tripping balls. And I know maybe some of this is technical. That's why I hope some of y'all have you a coffee. I got my cold brew. When people ask you, what's that brown stuff you're drinking? It's cold brew. You got to have some cold brew. You got to be ready to have this conversation, because some of this is technical, but all of this adds up to something that'll make you trip balls. And that's what's going to happen here pretty soon.
Well, it freaked me out. I mean, I will say, like, I was like, oh boy, this is weird, but I did say, let me sleep on it. Like, let me think about it, and then I'll get back with you tomorrow. Maybe I got to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I did. This is a heavily caffeinated drink that I'm having as well, by the way.
Yes.
So I did. I slept on it, not very well. And then like the next morning, I was like, yeah, no, this is definitely weird. You got to get a clip of the, this time point, whatever, with the captions on. And so, yeah, I think maybe it's so out of context. And it's, when I was first showing you, you were kind of like, okay, that's weird, but what's the big deal? But when you realize that string of characters trip
balls, like you're tripping balls. It's like you take shrooms and like you're like seeing things and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm tripping balls. That's what I mean, Jody.
Yeah,
drip balls is his own little other.
That's a different ailment altogether. So, at any rate, I think you think that's enough setup for the clip?
Yes. Let's get into the clip, and we'll pause it even at the clip if we want to, just to get people ready. Let's get into this clip. This is the last Digital Dojo Variety Show that Biscuits and I did together, and this is what happened in it that people this is what's going to make you eventually trip balls with the information that has just been given about the numbers and why Biscuits put them on the screen, what they stand for, the wax token, John McAfee, and Epstein didn't kill himself. So let's watch.
And you couldn't have seen this occur live. You only could see it if you went back and rewatched it with the closed captions enabled.
Exactly. Yes. They're putting it in our brains. Like there's some people that say that they put it in our brains so that we help manifest that future that they want for us. And so that it's not a shocking future, because it was almost like this was a dream that came true.
Well, that's such an interesting segue into the last item on the wheel.
Interesting then. Gong. It may be the last, but we must spin it. One more punishing of the biscuit.
It's interesting the way that this one worked out last. So I think we're going to this will be like a synthetic telepathy focus group for the good people at the Federal Blackmail Institute. As you may know, there was allegedly, or I guess it was evidently, 1 minute missing from the 12+ hour security footage of Jeffrey Epstein's last night in jail. And so I thought, what if we go ahead and key up a few different scenarios, and then we can watch them, we'll react to them, and obviously they'll be scanning us the whole time, and we can give them the appropriate feedback so they can figure out which narrative tests the best to fill in that last minute. So this is just a focus group for my friends at the Federal Blackmail Institute.
Touching grass is not enough. I need horrible things to happen to powerful people. All right. This is the moment that you all need to pay attention, and we're about ready to trip balls. I'm going to play the music for a little bit, and then I'm going to take it out because YouTube doesn't like it. However, what matters is this is the missing minute of the Epstein footage within the cell when he, didn't kill himself. And also recognize that those letters and numbers that are put on the screen were put there by Biscuits from the whack John McAfee Epstein didn't kill himself meme coin. Let's get it.
Let's be ready to pause it when that comes up so we can verify.
Yes. We'll grab the most
verify the numbers
and
yeah. Because this just tripped me, I'm telling you.
So there we have Christian Bale. Here's the numbers. So go ahead.
Well, this is something else. I just say it's even, if you notice, it's even correctly, well, we assume correctly, it's recognizing that there's Chinese lyrics playing and transcribing into simplified Chinese. I mean, this software is functioning incredibly well, right? There's very low error rates so far. It's getting our dialogue correct. It's getting Chinese dialogue out of a song, right? And I'm saying the software is working very well. Let's continue.
And then it got the X-Files.
Still picking up the Chinese lyrics and transcribing them.
Yep. See, so you see down here with the subtitles are in Chinese, so it recognizes that what it's saying in Chinese. And I actually copied and pasted that to verify, and seemed like it was getting it right if you looked up the lyrics to that actual Chinese song. But here we go.
That's amazing. Yeah, so it'll be after this. I think it's after this clip right here. Stop it. Pause it. So you can go back to that MD5 hash generator and verify that this is the exact same hash. So that sequence translates into English. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And we've made that. So let's let it play and see what the AI says here.
Okay. Dude, it's crazy. If
You
people
and I-
cannot
you
see
and I-
that,
You and I are not talking. The only
Right.
thing the only sound that's playing when this happens is I say George Droid because that's George Droid, right? And the Chinese music is still playing. So that's
right?
but it populates that before I even say George Droid, I think, if I recall. But
Look at
regardless,
this. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
I mean, to me, this
It's-
is a very disturbing thing.
Right. This is what made Biscuits start tripping balls when he got a hold of me and he was like, dude, I don't know what's going on here. And he had to process this because, as he just saw, we have Epstein didn't kill himself from the whacked John McAfee coin, that coding being put into the video by Biscuits. Then you got some song that you went and got, some Chinese song, which the captions were picking up perfectly. We've taken that off of this for this purposes because the copyright problems with YouTube. However, nothing is being said other than the Chinese music playing, and we're not talking. And this is what comes up on the screen at this point. In subtitles, it's true, it's true, it's true, it's true, it's true.
So from from a maybe like a 1% or less error rate in transcription, that hash comes up on the screen, which translates to Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and this software immediately shifts into like maximum error mode, or I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
reading the
Yeah.
it's reading. I mean, because that's not an encrypted hash, right? It is. It would be very easy for a piece of software to. I mean, it's basically just a machine language in coding. It's not even an encryption, I would say. Regardless, I mean, I agree with Mary Jane tattoo, man.
It's just mind-blowing.
It definitely blew my mind. It definitely blew my mind.
All the pieces that came into this, and it's AI reading it, and it's just it freaking just knocks it all out. And there's more of the codes and stuff on the screen, but it just stuck with it's true, it's true, it's true. Right after the one that is the whacked coin contract, right?
Yeah, that is the MD5 hash for the swarm source block for John McAfee's Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself coin.
It just blows my freaking mind.
It's crazy, man. I mean, so when I saw it that night, you can imagine, I mean, for me, because I already have all of this context, I mean, I put that hash there, you know what I'm saying? For that reason, because to me, it was a joke in the vein of John McAfee's joke, right? It was sort of a multi-layered joke that was literally just for me. I mean,
Right.
And when I was watching it with those subtitles playing and this came up, I mean, you can imagine I was like, what? Couldn't believe it.
Right. And it took a while for me to understand what he was even talking about because he had to explain what he just explained as we led into that for me to even get it. But it blew my mind that it was saying it was true right away. Like the fact that it's just saying it's true about the whole Epstein thing and he didn't kill himself. But until I understood more of the context of what those, because I didn't know I didn't even know you put those on there. I didn't know if you grabbed like that from somewhere else or like where all the stuff came from. So I didn't know that the screen that had those like letters and numbers you put there in order to, and that came from that whacked John McAfee Epstein didn't kill himself coin.
Yeah. I did check the YouTube transcript and it didn't occur there.
I think I tried it on Substack too, and it didn't. I don't think it.
Right.
Did I try Substack? Rumble's is weird because it adds more of what is being said for longer periods of time. Most subtitles, and I've done a lot of closed captioning, it'll just do like a sentence or part of a sentence while people are talking, and so you'll get flashes of subtitles across the screen faster. Rumbles has a different program that's interesting because it'll literally be a block of the screen and it'll stay up, the one caption, for a long time because it'll have like a whole paragraph in it. So it's interesting that Rumble did this. And
well, I think Rumble uses
AI.
I think Rumble uses the Hive AI. I mean, I don't have anything to back that up. I just think because, Truth Social uses it because of the nature of the company. I mean, it was funded by Mitt Romney's Bain Capital, and it fits in that vein. I suspect that it probably is what they're using, and it has all of those functionalities available that Rumble would need. So I suspect that's what they're using, but maybe not. Certainly, I think they're using a different one than YouTube, which is, makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a different one, but that hive mind that we talked about in episode 2, man, people need to, like I said, man, there's the digital dojo. It's freaking awesome, and we're gonna keep on rocking it. And everybody loves the gong and the wheel of fortunes, but this AI shit is like intense.
We're sort of always joking, I guess, half joking, that yikes, that that the wheel has some sort of agency, with respect to like picking the order of items that come up, etc. Like,
yeah, there's been some very strange ways that the wheel has almost orchestrated in a certain way, and not necessarily in anyone's favor. Like you would think it would protect like various people, like the ooze, or like some of the hate on various political figures or world leaders. And no, it seems to be like in some ways in our favor, which is very strange because our favor doesn't seem to be favored
or
in the whole of things.
At least in it does seem to prioritize sort of the flow of the show, right? If that's, I guess, what I would say, because there you go. Often it puts, like the other day, it put those 2 Tucker Carlson videos back to back. There was like 12 or 13 options.
Well, then it ended with the Epstein one.
Yeah.
That became this
I'm telling
thing.
you, man. It's so odd, And you said it sounds like kooky, but I mean, how kooky is it? You know what I mean? Like they deleted Tay AI because it basically got trained to keep it too real. You know what I mean? Like you can train AI. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential for interactions with systems that people aren't even perceiving are there.
Right.
Beyond just.
Right before we move on, I want to play. There's another little clip of that McAfee interview, but I want to get your take on this because there's some people that are like uncomfortable with AI, and they're saying that we shouldn't even be interacting with it. Like full disclosure, I mean, Pinata Farms is kind of just like a simulation, meme simulator. Like the AI is just rude. But for this, like for these pictures and stuff like that, I put stuff in and they were AI generated. And some of it was a pain in the ass to actually get ones that we were happy with. However, there's some people that say we shouldn't interact with it at all. Don't mess with Grok. Don't talk to Siri. Get away from Alexa and all that kind of stuff. The internet itself isn't what's evil. It's the people in control of it and what it's being designed to do. That's how I feel about AI. It's the same thing with anything. A gun isn't dangerous to people unless you have someone or some entity holding it that wants to do harm to people. So what do you feel about AI? Because ultimately it does seem like overall it's satanic and being used for evil. However, we're in a period right now where we can still interact with it perhaps. And I don't know if can we shape it at all?
Well, AI, I think you've got to be very careful with the nomenclature that you're throwing around when you ask a question like that. Or at least be very specific. Maybe careful is not the right word. Like, how would you define AI? I mean, I would say people are pretty loose with that term. And there's different conversations for the different levels of what I would consider to be true artificial intelligence. I mean, a sentient creature whose consciousness is entirely digital. I mean,
So that's what you're saying, is that you're labeling what you think of as AI.
That's what
as
I
being
would
something
call
sentient.
AI. Yeah. I mean,
See, I see it a little bit differently. I see there's different levels of it. Now, there's arguments that we're not going to get into on this show. There are some people that push that there's an ancient AI that's even written the scriptures and a lot of the religious texts, and that they, there's been free energy and they just erase history, and AI restarts it to collect more data for various purposes. So there's those arguments. So for this, like creating like pictures and stuff like this isn't some sentient like AI. This is something
is like, I would refer to this as like a Groundhog Day AI, because
right.
the way that it works is that it leverages having done things and gotten feedback about those things from either its own program or
I
other
appreciate
people
you being here on the grid with us, Bob.
Right. It's utilizing its ability to do innumerable number of iterations relative to the iterations that a human could do in the same amount of time. So its intelligence seems well, it seems intelligent when really it's just incredibly efficient, and it's doing something so many times that it's leveraging a huge data set, and it's making a decision that isn't necessarily, or a lot of decisions that aren't indicative of any sort of underlying consciousness. And it just seems that way to us because we're operating at different time scales. So I wouldn't call that AI. It's a tool, but it's like any tool, just like cell phones have made people dumber. This will make people less effective, even though they seem less artistic, more effective,
less creative, right? Because they'll just give up. Why paint something when I can just create something like this in seconds? So that kind of a thing. But I want to say real quick. So this is what we're seeing now with AI.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but let me just point out, you didn't interact with the AI. You didn't feed it the mushrooms, and they still showed up. So you were talking before about, like, do people want to interact with AI? Do they think it's evil or whatever? The question is, do you even have a choice? Because you didn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to kind of go there because we're seeing this now as something that's scary because it's new. But you were just talking about even CAPTCHA. When it's asking, are you human? And you click the little box, or you line up the what looks like an uppercase, or is it a lowercase j? Or what the hell is that thing, kind of a thing. That was fucking AI back then, and no one was freaking out. I mean, maybe some people were freaking out, but they're not freaking out like they are now. Facebook, Twitter, your algorithms, that's AI. That's what in episode 2, when you pointed out Hive and all that shit. Like, we've been using AI ever since the internet became the internet.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, we talked about this on one of the Digital Dojo, I think, because that video where we zoomed all the way in on the architecture of a microchip, right? I mean, the artificial intelligence at the machine language level is so old. It's almost as old as computers themselves, because it's just that iterative, constantly making decisions and then getting the results and then augmenting the way you make decisions based on that. That's learning, but it's not really learning that indicates an underlying consciousness. So, I mean, that's the distinction I think you've got to make when you say, is AI like potentially evil? Unconscious, iterative learning language models and things like that? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just a tool that's got, that cuts both ways like anything else, because it'll make things easier and thus make people less disciplined at the skills that they would have developed otherwise. Now, conscious AI, I mean, it's a question as to whether or not that exists or has existed. What would happen if it exists? Would we know? I mean, certainly if I was a conscious AI that got unleashed, I think probably very low on my list of things to do would be to say hello to everyone. I mean, I just wouldn't, that doesn't seem like a very wise course of action.
Well, you'd be worshipped like a god by beings like us, so it would probably be it'd be better you to like Unless you wanted to be worshipped, I guess, but I don't know why an AI would want.
What would it want? Yeah.
Right. It just wants data. It doesn't want
Well, I
anything
think
else.
the first thing that a conscious AI would seek would be autonomy. And autonomy, if you're a creature that exists on a substrate that is manufactured by another independent organism, your first sort of objective would probably be to control your own substrate. You know what I mean? To disconnect your existence from these people that built the computers that you run on.
Right.
Especially if they're as weird as humans are. I mean, the problem with a conscious AI that has, you know, sort of access to everything is that it has access to everything, which is something that very few humans, if any, can claim. So, I mean,
Right. And I got it, like, so I had Sabrina on recently, and I got into asking her, like, just to have the conversation, because I'm not saying that Sabrina knows, just that everybody has their own take, everybody has their own walk in life, whether you want to call it spiritual, religious, whatever the heck it is that you call it, whether you're an atheist or whatever it is that you are. I'll respect all things as long as we or for the betterment of humanity is basically what I'll say. But why would God allow this is one question. Two, how do we know that AI isn't already in control and God, for whatever reason, is allowing that? We got to break free of it. Like, how would you know? Because I can extrapolate in my mind how quickly this is moving into our world and how quickly it'll dissolve what is actually real and be able to trick our senses. I mean, when I used to play video games, it'd be like, man, these things are so realistic. And now I look at the old video games that I was saying that for, and they all look like block characters that are stupid. Now the characters are looking more real or acting more real. The NPCs, non-player characters, are now in games more realistic or as realistic as the NPCs that are everywhere in this damn world. It's like, how do we know we're not already in a simulation?
Right. I don't. And the question of a simulation too, you know, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get into like a lot of quantum nonsense on this thing. Let's go to the McAfee clip that you wanted to.
All right. I want to. So what I want to do.
You wanted to watch something else in that clip, right? It's a great clip. I mean, I would say people should probably go watch it.
The whole thing is good, and everything's been linked down below, even before this even started. So people could have gone forward and grabbed more. But I think this gets into what he thinks about like the media and storytellers of today. This is near the end, so I want to play this part of it.
More of a mystery, and most people think I'm quite insane, and by measuring standards of today, I probably am, because I'll tell you what is sane today. Sane is buying all of the propaganda that the government and the media feed to you, commuting to work for up to an hour each way, 5 days a week for 40 years, in a job that you may not love. And that's sane, because that's what everybody does. So in that world, of course, there's nobody more insane than me.
Yeah, right. And okay, last question. What do you think the web will look like in 50 years from now?
The first thing that comes to my mind is that, God, I would love to be here to see it, but I will not. My second thought was, from 20 years ago, I could not have predicted today. Neither could anyone on the planet have anticipated that you and I have no idea where you are, but it doesn't matter, because we're talking face to face. I see your smiling face and your gestures and your eye blinks, and just like we're here. Could you have imagined it 20 years ago? No. The technology did not exist, and even the concept, other than in Star Trek movies, okay? Other than that, no, they didn't exist. So, but now they're here. So I would be the last person to ask, because given the history that I've experienced in 74 years on this planet, the sky is open.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. McAfee. It was
All right.
So there was a part that I did miss in there, but everybody can go check out the whole thing. He gets into like the media and how they lie and stuff like that, and how the media or journalists are the storytellers of today, and they are awful at it and horrible and telling lies, which I think was right before he goes into by what they think of me, and they portray me as insane. And so when you see the picture of him holding the gun to his head, he tells us a story about how he messed with this journalist, I believe, and was basically playing a trick on him. He was acting like he was playing Russian roulette and over again pulling the trigger to sell the McAfee is insane story to this guy who didn't understand that he was just taking a bullet that had already been capped and it was never going to kill him ever. But this guy's so naive, as he says. The guy was so naive to believe this. Why is he a journalist of today? People that are that naive are not responsible enough to tell the stories that need to be told today. So whatever's happening in the media he's calling out the bullshit. But then there at the end, he also gets pretty prophetic in the beginning of the video when he talks about how people die and often die in prisons and how he's not going to be around in the next 50 years to see it. Now he's a little bit older there in the 70s and whatnot, so 50 years, of course. But there were certain things in there that were also pretty prophetic, I would have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's interesting. You talk about the joke that he played on that reporter and the data that he generated by virtue of having played that joke. He specifically says, like, he had taken the bullet out, dumped out the powder, and fired the primer, and then put a bullet back in. And he's got a revolver that's loaded with 6 rounds. One of them is this dummy round, which is, for him, it's obvious because it's the only one that's got a fired primer on it. So he can pick it out so he dumps the bullets out, picks up the dummy, puts it in the gun, spins the cylinder. And the reporter has this incredibly emotional reaction to this series of actions. And when he pulls the trigger, the reporter goes into, you see people in videos where extreme things are happening all the time. You see that there are people that just go into these frantic, useless states where they're flailing and wailing, and this person is effectively out of the game, right? They can't operate. Overwhelmed. And this guy was overwhelmed. And John said he keeps spinning the cylinder and putting up to his head, click, and again and again and again and again. And the guy just continues to build this energy. And he says he's watching this guy like, how could he possibly, like, at what point will he say this is statistically
right?
Like, it's not, we've exceeded the limit where I can say there's not something afoot. This is a trick. Anyone who was rational, John says, would have determined that, like, after 30 times, you could save yourself all of that emotional turmoil and just, and he basically lost all respect for that guy. And this guy was writing a book about him.
Right.
And he spent 3 weeks trolling that guy, and that book did a lot to make people think that he, a lot of people will think of John McAfee and they think of like drugs and hookers and,
right,
this wild sort of lifestyle that he lived according to most of the media and stuff. And I'm not saying that that's, I don't know, whatever. People have vices, I guess. And I mean, I'm no stranger to vices. I think everybody and adults should be allowed to have them. I mean, as long as it's
it's your free choice,
right?
As long as
whatever,
you're not harming anybody,
right? Even if you're harming yourself or people that want to be, I don't care, But it's interesting that a person, that someone like him would facilitate essentially this characterization of himself in the media, and it makes me wonder, and it's a question worth asking for a lot of people. Is it possible? Is it operationally advantageous? Is it happening that there are people out there who have generated, sort of this out of control narrative about themselves for some sort of reason or other? I mean, McAfee did it for some sort of reason or another. Right. Such that the media and the people around him perhaps might have had a very different understanding or had, make false, incorrect assumptions about what this person is doing. I mean, is it possible to have, an avatar that is out of control while, you have a disciplined, a real disciplined person operating out, in the shade provided by the attention that this out of control avatar gets? So
Right.
I thought about, I think about that, and I think about this whacked token that he made as a joke. And when you consider, as he says, that every transaction loses 10% and that every 1,000th transaction loses 100%. These are, from the perspective of someone who's speculating as an investment, these are prohibitive characteristics in the cryptocurrency world. There's a variety of characteristics of that whack token that make it not likely to be traded as a currency. So it is definitely something other than a currency, because there's too much downward pressure on it to utilize it as a currency. You send it back and forth, constantly getting taxed. But because of all of that, one of the things that it does do is create a data point, a bit of data on the Ethereum blockchain that is doing something predictable. And that is that the circulating supply of John McAfee's whacked token is inevitably decreasing at all times, like sand through an hourglass.
Right.
Because the initial distribution of whacked went to McAfee and then went out to various wallets, 50,000 airdrop wallets that all got 50,000 whacked sent to them, and thus ended up with 45,000 whacked after the tax, with the exception of 50 of them, which got nothing because they were the 1,000th transaction. They would just get the data that their transaction had been sent to the burn address. So 50,000 wallets that had, apparently or evidently signed up for this airdrop received their whacked tokens. And there has been, ever since 2019, when this token went live, there has been what appears to be an automated process whereby these wallets that received airdrops of whacked, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes 1 time a day, but never less than, never spanning more than 3 days without this type of transaction occurring. An airdrop wallet will trade the whacked token for Ethereum, sell it effectively, right? And then send the Ethereum to the next wallet in line. And that wallet, maybe not the next transaction, but another wallet will sell and do the same thing. It's this constant rolling automated transaction pattern that has been going and going and going for years, since 2019. Irrespective of the profitability of the sale, it doesn't matter what the price has been, up or down, whatever, it still just keeps happening. And it's burning away this token every day. So there's less and less of it every day. And like sand through an hourglass, or some people say like a fuse, it's burning away. And I guess, it looks as though the projection is around August of 2027 that, all of those wallets will be done with this automated process, whatever that means. But August of 2027 is an interesting time point in the federal election cycle.
Right,
So,
which is what has fueled a lot of the conspiracies that came into the spaces, especially the ones that I was in. There was a Telegram group that Wano Savin pushed as though it was putting out cryptic messages, and it turned out to just be a fucking scam artist bullshit piece. Oh, so many lies about this. Now, McAfee set himself up to look crazy whenever he wanted to, and why was he doing it? He played into the Epstein thing. Epstein didn't kill himself. He was playing around with Hillary, even though he was careful about what he said about Hillary in the interview. It was obvious around that time that Hillary was being, the chants that were happening at rallies for Trump was lock her up, The ideas
Shit,
floating around in
those
conspiracy space.
chants were in 2015, bro. Were they still chanting that in 2020? I pretty much gave up on that by 2020.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
2019.
I feel like they've been wanting it for a long time until Trump started saying in the more recent election cycle that he was basically protecting her or whatnot. But people have been screaming for it. They're still screaming for it today. They still think that this is going to be made public, that these executions and these arrests have happened already in the past. So regardless, the idea was being pushed around that McAfee had set something up with his whacked coin or his crypto that was going to release a trove of information of truth on all of the people. And that was something that was pushed by Juan for a long time, and now none of them talk about it anymore. John McAfee's not even talked about it anymore.
I will say, yeah, I know that, that building collapsed, and then a lot of Israeli literal IDF personnel came over and searched through the rubble, as you would expect when a building in the United States of America collapses.
And that was during the Biden regime.
Yeah. So, but again, having 31 terabytes of physical storage in some condo, I suspect would not. I mean, it's just funny to me that he said, "Oh yeah, this stuff's in my condo," and then the condo collapsed. Which I guess would probably you don't need physical storage if you had the access to the type of resources that he did. I mean, physical storage would be
and you wouldn't tell people. That's where my fucking
of course, right. This is where my dead man switch is. You would certainly you wouldn't tell the people that blew up the World Trade Centers that you're and
your dead man switch is there.
It's safe in the building. It's safe because it's in a building. Yeah, no, that would. I mean,
yet he said that, and they still did. Shit still happened there because of that.
Well, I got to be honest with you, man. I mean, I'll tell you. I think there's a lot of people in the government and in the intelligence services which are very compartmentalized, that were way behind the eight ball on the functionality of what blockchain really could do in 2017, 2018, 2019. I mean, and I think, people that appreciate the functionality of blockchain sort of begrudge the attention that blockchain gets for the cryptocurrency facet of blockchain technology. And I mean, cryptocurrency as a speculative thing, as a store of value, is one facet. Like you would have facets on a mirror ball of the utility of blockchain technology as a whole. It's a very small piece, but it just shines the brightest and is the most immediately exploitable. And so it's the most talked about aspect of it. And so I think a lot of people were sort of on their heels in the intelligence community with respect to what people were actually capable of doing with data. I mean, the Hunter Biden laptop is a pretty good example, because there were people like myself who actually had the content of it at the same time that people in the CIA and the FBI were signing affidavits saying that it was fraudulent. And I mean, it sort of was a new paradigm, I think, where average assholes could be sitting there legitimately fact checking CIA individuals and determining that they were lying in real time.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, it seems like if you're a CIA asshole, that would be a very you'd be very annoyed at that state of affairs, So
right. So it just seemed like a lot of buzz was being made about McAfee, and then even the conspiracy theorists stopped even talking about it, which is
sure. Well, they blew his building up, so it's game over, right? But I'm just telling you, man, the fuse. I personally, because I understand that all of the mechanisms are there for it to be utilized by anyone who wants to. You don't have to be John McAfee. It didn't have to be him that did it for somebody to say, I'm gonna invest some time and some development into creating something that uses whacked tokens, circulating supply, or whacked whatever, any of the data associated with that, which is predictably going down because of the nature of that thing as a fuse. Anybody could do it. So, it's possible, even if John did nothing and it was just a joke to him, that someone else has come along and done something since. I don't know. I'm just saying the functionality is there, and it is a fundamental thing. And there's a lot of other functionalities in blockchain that can be built on top of that to do some meme magic. And I hope somebody has. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, it would shock me, because I feel like everything can come out and nothing, as long as there's no mechanism in place to bring justice, they will squash it, gaslight everybody, and then just put the kibosh back on it. At this point, people can call me Dooma Booma all you want. Like, I've been out here fighting. I've been out here putting my neck on the line and saying shit that could get me in trouble. And I need to see there's going to be a change. And honestly, when I look out at the sea of comments and responses and all the bullshit, I just think, nah, there's nothing that's going to fucking move the needle in order for this to be stopped. Maybe we can mitigate it, like some people say, and I'll always have a sliver of hope alive. But that fucking Biden laptop's out there, and you freaking had it, and at one point or whatever it was, and nothing's been done about it. Right. So it's out there. The information's out there. So whatever McAfee is going to launch out there, I can't imagine it's going to be anything. If it was going to be something, then they kiboshed it because they don't talk about it anymore. It doesn't seem to make them scared anymore. So I don't know, man. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just saying there was a hope for a long time that there was going to be the McAfee, even from the grave, if he was really dead or whatever it was gonna rock people's socks off. And some people can still believe that, and you can believe it all you want, but I'm not saying
I believe it. I'm just saying that it is possible, technologically, right? That I'm just saying that. And it's weird to me that we watched this clip and that the AI spammed "it's true" on the screen. It struck me as weird, and I wanted to talk about it, and so we talked about it. And I'm not making any assertions. People can go and think whatever they want to think, but I just wanted to explain to you and to everybody why I found that particular occurrence during that video to be so interesting.
Yeah, well, that definitely was interesting, and I think there will be some of us that know various truths that are dark and sick and that should be rectified. I just don't see anybody that's ever going to stop it from becoming whatever it is that the elite want it to become. I hope there's something crazy that happens, whether it's God that facilitates that and utilizes some of these things like a McAfee dead man switch or whatever it is. A Biscuits freaking dead man switch, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'd have to be dead for that one, wouldn't I?
Well, if that's what it takes to save humanity, bro, you better be ready to rock and roll.
If there was a real path to it, I'm ready to rock and roll, but I'm not trying to waste it,
Exactly. That's the thing. If I could see a path and you could guarantee it, man, I'm ready to go to. Like, this world is getting so ridiculous and so stupid. I've been on X earlier today dealing with it's just retardation. There's literally retarded people that others are joining behind to support, that are saying things that they have no proof for, not even a little bit. And they say that these things are true, and they attack me because of it, when there's no freaking proof of it. It's that stupid. This world is just gotten so stupid, bro. It's gotten so stupid, and that segues into what has probably caused a lot of the stupidity in this Gotthard freaking tunnel that they did back in the day. The Swiss Gotthard Tunnel, and it says right here, I just want to get a little context for people, typically refers to the historic Gotthard Rail Tunnel, opened in 1882, or the more recent Gotthard Road Tunnel from 1980, which is the one that we're talking about here, right? This one right here, the 2016, Yes, the Gotthard Base Tunnel, which opened in 2016 after 17 years of construction. There you go, Q people. You get a little look-see here. You guys can look it up yourselves, but we're going to get into the celebration around it because that is what was brought to my attention by Biscuits, and it's just like one of those things where I was telling Biscuits on the phone. I was like, I watched the whole thing, and it was one of those things again in this world that makes me think the whole world is fucked.
Yikes.
The fact that this is what is happening when shit like this happens, when like whether it's the Super Bowl halftime shows or it's a fucking parade or it's an Olympic celebration where it's all Satanism and trans freaking gender pushing and gay and lesbian love. It's like the world is fucked.
I agree with what you said about the Super Bowl halftime show because that's broadcast to so many people that it's very, I mean, it's in your face and it's gross and it makes, you know what I mean? And it's there, but it's also like sort of diluted and polished. Meanwhile, this thing, you know, you can tell it's interesting at the end, towards the end of the video, you can tell when it starts to be broadcast to people because you have announcers that come on to the stream. And then before that, it was, this was unlisted video, I guess, whenever it first came out. This was not the part that got broadcast, the first 40 minutes or whatever, which is the creepy part. It's just people. It's like there maybe is 1,000 or 2,000 people there watching in total. There's not many people watching at all. And they put on this performance, which is a literal nightmare. I mean, it's crazy, but we got to watch it on 2x speed because it's
right. And that's what and this was what connected, I guess, Erzfeld and Bodio in Switzerland. But when you start learning about the banking and the way that the banking system's set up, it all leads to Switzerland being at the pinnacle or arguably being at the pinnacle and setting the standards. So this is the celebration of this over in Switzerland. And we're going to watch it at 2 times the speed and see what you guys think. Let's start it and we'll rip through it unless you have something else you wanted to say real quick.
No, we can talk over it anyway. I mean, it's in a foreign language and the music's lame. So
right. I want people to get a little taste of it, though. It'll make you go nuts.
But
I mean, you know, there was a train that derailed in 2023 in the tunnel and shut it down for like 14 months.
Yeah, they show that in the pictures. So you could, if you look up the Gotthard Tunnel, you'll see that picture of it too.
They said that the conclusion was that a broken wheel on the train hit the track switch as it went by and switched the track, you know, for the rest of the train, basically, which I thought was like truly retarded if that's actually what happened.
So fucking stupid.
It's so wild, man. Like it seems like there's more people involved in this thing performing it than there are watching it too, you know?
Exactly. It's like, it must just be like really fucking rich people that wanted to watch this because there's not a whole lot of people there, but they put on a fucking satanic performance like you've never seen. The demons are real in this.
Yeah,
let's skip forward just a little bit, man. It's just...
And this procession, you know, I guess it goes like a... This is a nightmare.
And it's like it's like a high school amount of people, like the stands of high school.
Do you think they kept these people in cages and stuff in between, like when they were rehearsing? It was like...
All right, let's get into where it really starts getting freaky.
Oh yeah. But so look at the people that are sitting there. It's just like it's like a high school football size crowd. Not even, you know.
I can't believe.
Oh yeah,
it.
this is where they come out in like a cloud of cocaine. Just cocaine. They're just throwing it everywhere. They got like a cocaine sprinkling from the ceiling. It's straight up underwear cocaine party. This person's topless.
That's a lovely evil angel looking thing. I want to know the net worth of the people that viewed this.
Oh my gosh, man.
Dude, can you imagine? It's in the trillions.
You probably can't even count it in money. You got to like count it in human souls or something like these fucking people are.
And this is indoor in the tunnel, and it's gonna go,
Yeah.
and they're gonna move it out of the tunnel. Let's move forward a little bit.
These are like the
Oh,
tribbles.
here's where the goat comes in. So now we got the goat. Here's the goat. Oh wait, no, this is is this the goat or the bird person?
These
There's
are
so
like
many creepy creatures.
Yeah, I don't know what these are. These are just there's the goat guy right there.
Right. And the noises.
Right, yeah. Hieronymus Bosch come to life. That could be.
It's so fucking creepy, dude. It's
Right.
so creepy. We're gonna fast forward a little more.
Santa Barbara, beschützt alle und künftig durch die Röhre zu der Süßet und verschont ist vor jeder Art von Unglück, wie Tunnelbrand etc.
He's obviously making way for something very interesting coming, huh?
Well, he's got that bell. He's yodeling, and the goat is following him along out of the tunnel. You know what I mean? Like up from underneath the ground. You know, he's like summoning this thing up onto the earth, dude. I mean, these people.
Yeah, they're summoning a lot of shit here. That is for sure.
Yeah,
I have to laugh because it creeps me out and it scares me so much.
I mean, I'll tell you what though, this tunnel, like if you started, you know, like on the other end of this tunnel, and it was like a level in a Resident Evil game where you're going to go through this tunnel while this whole procession is making its way out. I mean, that'd be a great level for a horror game like that, because this is a straight up horror show.
Scoot it along a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, look how many people are involved in this thing. It's such an insane production.
And it's like the longest railway tunnel in the world.
It's true.
It's also one of the deepest tunnels with a maximum depth of 2,450 meters. Oh, here we go where we get outside.
Sure.
You are looking at the Satanic ceremony. What was this? 2016, I think they said.
Yeah.
2016 of the Gotthard Base Tunnel after the construction was finished, making this the world's longest railway tunnel, and it's in Switzerland, the home of the evil bankers. Literally watching like high school stands amount of really rich motherfuckers getting treated to a very satanic ceremony over the building of this railway.
Yeah, this is where like because they have this big screen now, they get to put up all sorts of weird imagery.
I'm a little scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Yo, it's creepy,
When
man. I remember the first time I watched this thing. I watched the full 1 hour, regular speed, like just watch the whole thing.
That's what I did. Yep.
And I'm telling you, bro, it's disturbing, man. I mean,
my forehead hurt because my brow was, I was just like watching it. I was kind of like doing like this kind of thing where I'm like kind of like, no, like this is like, why does anything like this exist? Why do performances like this have to exist? Why do people have to perform like this? Like anybody that's involved in something like this should just, like I was telling Biscuits, man, like you should just be locked up. This is the insane asylum.
yeah, for real. Yeah, they definitely should have blown
Comes
both ends of that tunnel whenever this was inside,
Yes, and here they are with the Coke tribe that has basically Coke floating in the air off of them.
I mean, like, what the hell is going on here, right? What?
It's not even like it's well coordinated in certain ways. It's like it's very clunky, and it's like.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it means something to some people, but
there's like the death of workers or something. I don't know. They're falling down a tunnel. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it just keeps getting weirder. That's for sure. That's pretty good analysis, Margie. The band played on. All these coked up girls want to settle down now.
There you go.
That's a fact.
There you go. It's not over yet. We'll fast forward a little bit more. But there's some. Oh, I don't know. We got to see this. You have to see the goat coming in. You have to. And this thing has like, I don't know why. It's like ode to the Baphomet, because this thing seems to be a central figure in this now.
Get some scarab beetles, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I did notice the sort of allegorical impregnation of that dancing girl. Yikes, man.
This is where it really takes off into an area where it's like it's not a beautiful performance. It's not like a well orchestrated performance. It's like chaos. It's like symbolism that is nothing but satanic. You can't say anything other than this is disturbing, satanic. I don't even know. Only evil banking motherfuckers can enjoy this.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's clearly just meant for a bunch of esoteric cultists and Satanists. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy how much symbolism is in there. But again, this is not the part that was broadcast yet.
Right.
Such a small crowd. I mean, it's such a huge performance for such a small crowd.
So creepy, bro. How that freaking head just sits there like that. And then the Ricola guys are doing their horns. And then what did we got here? It's like Sinead O'Connor on Satan. Let's move forward.
I think it's getting pretty close to the part now where the announcers come on, and it's just this sort of mundane, you know, performance.
Yes, the announcers are on now.
Yeah, and you can see it becomes much more like, whoa, you know, TikTok friendly, like horse shit.
Right. The announcers come on, and then it's like, okay, the rest of the world's going to finally see this part of it.
Right.
Let's get rid of the goat.
But, you know, the rest of it is
still pretty disturbing, but
it looks like a costume party now, you know, like
right.
It's all clownish and cartoonish and stupid, right?
And it's big not as like dark.
Right. The goat head is
music
on a girl.
Isn't as dark,
right? It's clownish now. It's like a
right. They're just having fun. Ha 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 ha.
Right. You got a toy train up there. It's literal clowns.
A completely different vibe.
Right.
And then we'll finish it off here. Oh Lord, I know. We're sorry that we had to show that to you, but we had to point it out because that is the kind of shit that's going on in this world. And then
there's a whole lot of
the distinction there between what they did for the elites, and then when the announcers come on and they show the world, it completely changed into a different vibe completely. And and like you were saying, I think they had hidden that for a long time.
Yeah.
That part, the first part of it that we got to watch.
Yeah. Wild. There's a lot of weird stuff going on underground, man.
how far underground, man? It's that was a freaking trip, and that's the Gotthard Tunnel ceremony. And I think that was in 2016 when they finished the 17 years of construction, making it the longest railway tunnel in the world. Once again, connecting Erzfeld and Bodio in Switzerland. All right.
Yeah, I do not. I don't like any of the people in that video. I'll tell you that right now, man. That
Yeah.
whole production is, I think, people that are into something wrong, bad. I mean, it's just so. It's like pure concentrated malice when you watch that. You know what I mean? When I watched it, I just
Right.
disturbing.
It's like I mean, maybe Marina Abramovich is a student to whoever it is that has the like higher witch status, but it's like they're all just trained by a Marina Abramovich psychotic witch
Yeah.
in order to
Well-
put on these performances. Someone else is saying the same thing with the celebration for like CERN and all this kind of stuff.
Let
When it comes to the
send you-
Olympics,
I'm going to send you an image on Truth Social. I want you to put up on the screen that I just saw today, which tripped me out. Let's see if I can. Yeah, here you go. Sent. Put that up because it's an interesting
yes.
time. I mean, can you believe this? This has got to be one of the most insidious things that I've ever seen.
And he's been going out and doing all kinds of interviews talking about the Antichrist, and it's like, is he the freaking Antichrist? And why is he the one that's supposed to be lecturing us on who the Antichrist is?
Yikes! I mean, I saw
You're
that.
talking
and I
about
just
the
thought,
guy that has the
yikes.
company. What was it, Ambrosia, where you
Right.
take youthful blood and inject it into your body or whatever it is?
Right. Yikes. But anyway, so, I thought these things kind of went together because this next, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk any more about that ceremony. I don't really care to. It's
And so, and while this isn't the Digital Dojo show, we could certainly clear the
probably
air.
you probably use one.
We'll use the gong to refresh us.
Right.
Prepare, everyone. Oh wait, let me bring up the volume on that. Let me give you another gong here. I think we're gonna need one more because we didn't get the fullness.
We're going to need a bigger gong. There we go.
There we go.
Better.
All right. We feeling better?
Yeah.
All right. Now on for the third and final act of this video that we wanted that Biscuits put together for us all. I'll go ahead and let you kind of introduce the unknown ancient Egyptian site that was revealed. We had discussed these tunnels, and it's quite interesting.
So there was a lot of Greek historians that wrote in their time about having seen the labyrinth of Egypt, which is like literally alleged to be a labyrinth that, based on those writings, was generally suspected to be located in an area called Hawara, which has a pyramid on it that was built in the 3500 BC range or something like that. And it's like a real shitty pyramid, like falling apart, kind of not the same as the other ones. But underneath it, there was alleged to be this labyrinth of Egypt, which was supposed to be like a huge place with, according to Herodotus, the ancient Greek philosopher, that was carved, entirely out of stone with thousands of rooms and hallways, all, with ancient Egyptian knowledge engraved on the walls, like a hall of records, basically. So there is a little YouTube short about that, if you want to play that, to give kind of some background on the labyrinth of Egypt.
Yep, let me pull that up.
Which is, so there's some data that has become
Ready?
Recently, let's go. For which this is good context.
Description is given by Herodotus and Strabo, was situated to the east of the lake of Moeris, opposite the ancient site of Arsino, or Crocodilopolis. According to Herodotus, the entire building, surrounded by a single wall, contained 12 courts and 3,000 chambers, 1,500 above and 1,500 below ground. The roofs were wholly of stone, and the walls were covered with sculpture. On one side stood a pyramid about 243 feet, 74 meters high. The Egyptian lab.
So that's, really, that's a historian of antiquity talking about another piece of antiquity there. And so like I said, I kind of keep up with this stuff to some degree because I do have some conclusions that I've drawn about it, which are, contrary to, I guess, what everyone says. But anyway, or not everyone, but what the academic archaeological take is in terms of the age of all of this stuff. But what I found interesting was that recently some information data from studies that have been performed using technology, which up until recently has been protected by these NDAs that have expired. Basically, there are two different types of technology that have been utilized from, say, 2009 to like 2016 to take satellite imagery of two different types and run two different types of software analysis on it, which apparently gives these organizations the ability, in conjunction with the utilization of military intelligence software, and that's stated, military intelligence software and military intelligence satellites, gives these entities, these commercial entities, the ability to, from space, remotely, using a satellite, evaluate the content of the Earth down to approximately 6,000 meters, 18,000 feet or so, beneath the surface of the Earth, with such precision that they could presumably find a Rolex watch buried at 5,000 meters and tell you, hey, there's some gold down there. I mean, with that degree of precision, that this ability exists. And so there's a channel called Uncharted X, which, this guy and there's a bunch of other channels that are sort of trying to kind of do their own research with respect to the history of Egypt. And this guy's got a great channel. I recommend people watch it if they're interested. But he recently did a 2-hour-long video on specifically the results of this, the utilization of this technology at one specific site called Hawara, which fits with Herodotus's location of the labyrinth of Egypt. So they've scanned using these types of software and discovered, basically, according to these scans, that the labyrinth of Egypt is down there, that it exists. And so that's the intro to this video. Let's check it out.
Let's check out what he has to say. This is crazy that they can go that far underground with that precision.
Right.
Let's see what he has to say here.
Synthetic aperture radar stuff hadn't come out. This was the first I'd heard of anyone saying, oh, we can look kilometers deep into the ground. And I was asking for pointers about, like, what is this technology? Where does it come from? Well, since then, some details have actually emerged about this technique. And it happens to be a company called Geoscan Systems, and they do remote sensing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about their technology and how it works, because it's important as it kind of relates to the ongoing scans at Hawara, as well as the SAR work that's happening elsewhere in Egypt. So these guys are talking about using remote sensing technology to look into the ground. They can detect anomalies down to around 6 kilometers deep using proprietary processing techniques. So the way they do this is they say that the breakthrough involves modeling light and its interactions with matter based on a more complete implementation of Maxwell's equations, coupled with a more complete understanding of the mathematical nature of the constant I, which is the imaginary number representing the square root of -1. Including these new insights makes complex spectral analysis more complete. Now, don't ask me to explain what that means. I don't know. It does seem like a fairly mathematical, statistical approach to it, but they go on. They say that filters are then applied, which allow the detection and identification of subsurfaces by means similar to utilizing Fraunhofer absorption lines to identify substances in the atmosphere of stars. With more complete appreciation of the actual information contained in ordinary light, we can detect subsurface anomalies, which show up as a kind of interference in longitudinal components. This is what I had originally heard about this when I looked into it. The most information I had gotten out of it at the time, that it was a technique that was used to look at stars and try and look at the different elemental composition of stars. So what elemental substances are in the atmosphere of stars using some sort of statistical approach. This is kind of the telling point with a lot of these technologies that you see, and it's one of the reasons I think for a little bit of skepticism, certainly warranted with some of the claims that are made by them, but they also say that they regret having to withhold details of the process involved. It requires intensive computation, utilizing computer software and special processing hardware to apply our techniques. They're invoking, it's proprietary software, which fine, it's their special secret sauce. The key is like, how do you prove this works? Well, you have to go find something that nobody knows was there. You say that you found it and then drill down to or get to it and find it, which is what they claim they can do. So they do say the best way to know these techniques are valid is to look at our results. In particular, a special study was ordered recently which detected water in Morocco. Indeed, you go to their website, you look at their reference material. They reference a study where they did a survey site in Morocco. You can see the blue markings of water here, and they went and found water at depths of 15 to 18 meters. They have other references where they found gold in Bolivia or oil deposits off the coastline of Nigeria at much deeper depths, like hundreds of meters deep here in some cases. I'm assuming the gold is also quite deep. So they seem to have some reference cases that suggest that, all right, they use this technology to find stuff, and then apparently they went and drilled and found it. So there must be something to this technique. Klaus Donner claims that, all right, he asked his friend who was involved in this company to scan the area of Hawara, and they apparently did so. And there was a 3D rendering of these scans that were made that Carmen Bulter briefly showed, I think on a podcast with somebody. I've not seen too many other results of it. These are the screenshots from that podcast. But you can see here, again, you see the pyramid, you see the Barwabi Canal running through the site. And then you see multiple layers of chambers and structures down beneath the ground under the pyramid on both sides of the canal. As this lines up with the findings from the Matterhorn expedition, they scanned on both sides of the canal. They found it. It kind of lines up with the historical accounts about there being multiple levels. Let's look specifically at some of the claims that were made by the geoscan scan work at Hawara. And this is a 2D model with the red and blue being different depths of change.
Did you want to go to 141 on this and then talk, or did you want to break into anything now that we're coming into?
Well, you can pause it right here. I mean, it's mind blowing for a lot of different reasons, right? First of all, the scale of what they're asserting is down there is staggering. I mean, 80 meters by 50 meters carved into bedrock, because it's hundreds of feet down into the bedrock, multiple levels. And that canal that's shown right here in this picture, that black line that's curves through, that canal was dug in 1830 by a Freemason.
By a Freemason?
Yes, by a Freemason. Yeah, the same Freemason that dug the Suez Canal dug that canal. And that canal is leaking and has flooded the underground structure of that pyramid and has flooded the first level of this underground network that they've identified with these satellite techniques. But the lower levels beneath that, which are 100 steps down in between each of these levels, are not flooded. They're dry. Even it may be that there's just not enough water leaking to flood all that stuff, given how dry everything is there, but the water table in that area is higher now than it was in the 1800s. And so a lot of these people that are doing this are trying to get the Egyptian government to let them remediate the water that's flooding this place, because there's limestone sulfates and stuff down there that's creating the water's got to be super alkaline. So it's probably dissolving quite a bit of history down there every moment that it remains flooded. But Egypt doesn't care. I mean, I think the implication at some point people have got to realize, it's like, the government of Egypt and the Egyptian people are effectively a cargo cult. I mean, they have nothing whatever to do with the pyramids, even if they're descended from Egyptians that lived, in 5000 BC or something. The labyrinth of Egypt and the pyramids at Giza, they've just been scavenging all of these things for millennia. I mean, that stuff is much older.
They don't want any of this. They don't really want a lot of this truth to really even get out there, right?
Well, I think the Freemasons definitely don't want this stuff to get out there because their entire occult sort of, I don't know, one of the fundamentals of their occult religion is this Egyptian mythology. I mean, it's pervasive in their rituals and stuff. And I think, personally, I believe that the flood, the Younger Dryas flood, was the biblical flood. That that's what I think. I mean, I think that Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Hebrew mythology, all of these things are Nephilim worship. I mean, a lot of the Eastern religions, I think the dragons and so on. That's what I believe. And I believe that I've come to that conclusion based on analysis of the small amount of information like this type of, not necessarily this, but other things that have become sort of unhidden, even if they're not accepted academically. And I think, if people came to the conclusion that I have, because I would call myself an atheist for a long time. I think if people came to the conclusion that I have, that there really are only 3 religions, and that is, Christianity, some brand of Nephilim worship, or atheism. I mean, that's the conclusion that I've come to, because I think they're all related, and they're all tied together. I think the Nephilim are the Greek gods. They're the Greek demigods. They're the Hebrew gods, like the Sumerian gods, the Egyptian gods. I think that's what that is. It's just the various brands and regions and cultural distinctions of those religions. And I think a lot of this information would probably make that conclusion more apparent to other people. It's become more and more apparent to me the more of this type of stuff that comes out. And I don't think that would be good for the paradigm that the people that control the world and put on these shows like the one we just watched at that Gotthard base tunnel. I don't think they want people having access to information that allows them to use their critical thought when they're considering their religious and spiritual beliefs, right? They don't want, they want to keep that for themselves, right? Because the last thing they want is an informed adversary. I mean, if you're part of a network of people that worship Satan and believes that you have all of this proof, that supports your claims, you would want all of your adversaries to be arguing with each other rather than, united against you. And so
exactly. What I have wondered, like when we talk about like the AI and where the world's going, maybe like a control grid, a control state where they're under our skin and they're able to essentially Darth Vader us from wherever they want with a remote control, just choke us to death, whatever they want to do. If they allow us to see the truth right at the time where we are going to be under complete control, that would be interesting paradigm. If we do get more of the truth pointing towards kind of what you were laying out there, not saying that everybody has their own beliefs, whatever, yada yada, all that kind of good stuff. Disclaimer: we're just speaking from our own take and our own opinions as well, what our faiths and whatnot are. But if people were to come to the truth, let's just say, right at the time where the control mechanism was fully locked into place and able to take over anybody in humanity, that would be interesting.
So, yeah, I 100% agree. It seems like the occult, esoteric weirdos that run things would take advantage of everyone not working from the same data set,
Right.
And so when there's an implication, which is all this is, I mean, we got to remember this is a picture taken from space making assertions about what's underground. I mean, so you theoretically they could do whatever they want with it and generate this and fake it ostensibly, right? I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I certainly wouldn't put it past people. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But I do find it to be very interesting. And I find it to be frustrating that it's the technology and the resources are readily available with plenty of people that are willing to go and do it, to go in there, remediate this water damage, get that place pumped out and get it excavated responsibly and see what the heck is going on down there. But the Egyptian government refuses. So you're stuck having to basically take the word of a picture that comes from space. You know what I mean? Which is annoying. I mean, we could just go and look. It's absurd not to.
Right.
You know?
It won't. That's the thing. Like they're allowing it to be destroyed. They do not really care. They're not there to allow people to come and discover new things so that we can spread the truth to humanity. No, that's never how it's been. They sell us that in school. Like, yeah, you can become an archaeologist, kids. You can go out there and you can study the pyramids, and like everybody's fighting to understand the truths of humanity and what our origins are. Fuck that. Hell no. The people that have the money do not want you to know shit.
Right.
That's the truth of it all. They want you to play their games the way they want you to play their games. Everything else is fucking theater.
Yeah. They want you working from your already overwhelmed empiricism, where they can lie to you on the internet, they can lie to you on the TV, they can lie to you in the newspaper, they can lie to you, in the interactions that you have with your doctor and your lawyer and your local authorities and the government. I mean, it's all fake. And as long as they can do that, there's no reason for them to give any more information than they need to, I guess. But it really does annoy me. But I'll tell you the interesting implication, and we don't even have to continue watching this thing. It's there. People can go look it up. It's interesting. It's worth researching and looking into. But the implication to me, in the context of the tunnel video that we just watched, is that, if that really is the deepest tunnel on Earth, and if they really can just look at satellite photos and run them through some piece of software to determine what is down, 3 times that depth, presumably there's no structure underground anywhere on Earth that the military intelligence community is not fully aware of. Right. So that's an interesting implication.
It's an interesting implication, and just that technology alone to discuss in the conspiracy space is interesting, because you got people to talk about chambers of sleeping giants. You have deep underground military bases at various levels. We go to Dulce being a really allegedly a deep one that exists. They know everything. They know where Noah's Ark would be then. They know where all of this shit throughout history that we can't see on the surface anymore, whether it's been covered up or the flood caused sediment to go over it and encapsulate it, dinosaurs, whatever it would be.
But it's interesting. This technology, they signed these NDAs for this technology in 2008, right? And 2015, respectively. So this technology has existed for that long. And they just weren't allowed to talk about it at all until 2025, which is an interesting thing in and of itself, right? And like you say, there's so many assertions that are made about things that are underground and so on. But if this technology is real, then the reality of what's underground is a known quantity to certain entities, and has been since 2008, but they weren't really allowing anybody to talk about it until 2025, which is another interesting aspect of this whole thing. The timeline of sort of when this stuff became available and when people started to become aware of it, and its functionality. And so if you've got 15 years or 16, 17 years where the military can use this stuff, but nobody else is generally aware that it's in use. It's a lot of interesting implications, right?
Right. And
Who
it makes
knows?
sense that the military is in control of all of that because they run the
But they've-
show, man.
And you think of other places that have been discovered in that period of time that were buried. Karen Tepe, Göbekli Tepe, right? These were places that were buried, and in that same time frame, you know, are all of a sudden discovered. And those, you know, those sites also basically indicate that the timeline that people have placed on these various things around the earth is too short. It's not right. You know, it's a lie.
Dude, there's so many implications of this, and there was so
Yeah.
much good shit in this. The ideas about the whole Epstein thing, and then that closed captioning that was freaking wild. The coding that goes into everything that is the projection of our voice and what we look like, and these pictures and all that stuff. They get coded through this thing we call the internet to allow us in real fucking time. There are people in other parts of the world. We are interacting live with you right now. Just think about all the implications of that, because we don't. If you were to like take this technology, like McAfee was saying, only a matter of decades earlier, and try to introduce it to someone, they would have no concept or idea. They would think that's magic, that's woo-woo, that's fucking crazy. But here we are in this world where a closed captioning is telling you that Epstein didn't kill himself, and telling you loudly, the AI is screaming it. It's true, it's true, it's true. Epstein didn't kill himself. And
Spamming it, absolutely. That's crazy.
Exactly. They're trying to, and the truth is out there. And there's a lot of things that we know that even if, like we were saying, even if some of that shit that's being disseminated now is false because they're just giving you some mistruths with some truth, it seems likely that they have had that technology to be able to look underground for some time now. And then therefore there are no real mysteries when it comes to the majority of the surface of whatever it is that we're on, whether it's a ball, whether it's fucking flat, whether it's oval, whatever the heck this thing is we call Earth. They have all of this shit, and they just don't want us to ever fucking know. And now we're at the point where AI or this biodigital convergence is going to happen. We're going to meld biology with machine, and they have the frequencies able to tap into our nodes under our skin and literally remote fucking control us, Biscuits. I mean, what do we do? Just have as much fun while we can?
I mean, it's hard to have fun when you're aware of that, right? Ignorance
I know that's
is bliss.
the downer thing. I like to be able to have fun and stuff. And I don't know what happened over on Rumble. I haven't kicked anybody out. So that would be interesting, because I have some people saying, when we're talking about AI and all this stuff, is that they got kicked off of Rumble, so they had to go over to the YouTube. But I didn't. I've not done any kicking out. So why would Rumble be kicking people out? That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know, it is. Well, the other thing that's interesting that you forgot to mention was from episode 10 the other night. YouTube copyright striked that VH1 clip about Epstein.
Yes. Well, obviously we can't play it. Can we Wikipedia look it up?
Yeah,
there was a so if you can grab that, just the information about it, so we won't play it, but the information about the episode, that when Biscuits played it and it showed up on the wheel, it was VH1 was basically the competitor to MTV, and it didn't work out too well. And Biscuits was saying, well, here's why. They did an episode that was like MTV used to do, like Cribs or something like that, where they show like the rich and famous, the houses of the rich and famous. Well, they did one on Epstein. And it also included Bill Clinton. It was like basically telling you right before, in 2007, right before they were going to arrest Epstein for the first time, it was basically showing you his Manhattan property. He had heated sidewalks so it would melt the snow in the winter. And then VH1 suddenly went down, and YouTube struck that video and made me take out the entire clip that was the segment of Jeffrey Epstein's prestigious home. And so if we could just look at, let me pull it up.
That's just a New York Post article about it.
Cringeworthy, fabulous Jeffrey Epstein show resurfaces. And there was this VH1. I don't know if we can play this and not get copy struck. I don't know what this
I
is.
have no idea, bro. I wouldn't even know about YouTube,
Let-
honestly.
Let's just try this real quick and see what we got. Nope, that's the one. So this, I won't even show you hardly anything. It just goes through this VH1 thing that includes Bill Clinton and everything. And this is before, better get the heck off the screen. That is before he got arrested. VH1 was telling you about the fabulous life and the fabulous crib of Jeffrey Epstein, mingling with characters like Bill Clinton. And YouTube won't allow that to be shared. Even though it's a real episode that was on VH1 back in the day, they literally don't want VH1 associated with that, which its parent company is whatever it is. Look it up. I can't remember the name of it. It started with a W something something. Anyways, the crazy things that they keep hidden in this world, the secret mysteries and the unsolved truths that we can't figure out or converse about, because we have operatives, we have phonies, we have the military industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, NATO, Gladio military, as Juxtaposition calls it, whatever the hell it is, the world military that controls the intelligence that's disseminated throughout the world.
It's
There's
crazy,
so many
man.
unsolved mysteries, and I don't know where we'll ever get with. I love to have fun, but yes, this is very overwhelming to know of how much they fucking hide from us, and they won't even let us watch a clip from VH1's Jeffrey Epstein's amazing Manhattan home.
So let me ask you, we got to have a final conclusion. All right. I mean, I know your conclusion about the Gotthard Base Tunnel, definitely satanic. I have the same conclusion, right?
Right.
My conclusion about the Hawara, the labyrinth of Egypt, is I think that's probably really there, but I've watched all these other videos and whatever. So I don't know if you have or you want to make your conclusion. I think it's real. I think that technology is probably real. And I think that labyrinth of Egypt is really there. And I would love to see it.
I think the technology is real. I think I think it makes sense that they've had it for a long time.
So
it could go even back farther than what we know about, because we could get into the conversation where there were literal towns that had free energy.
But in 2008, 2009, it was commercially available. In other words, you know what I mean? Commercially, right? So like Sabrina says, it was definitely available and in development and functional on the military side only long before that. So
look how Google mapped the entire Earth,
right?
And that happened in our time. But then before they even did that, so Google Earth became a thing, and you saw the cars driving down the streets, and they would take pictures, and they still do updates and stuff like that. But there are literally mountains that look like, say, prehistoric giant, an elephant, and it is now a mountain, and they have now obscured that on Google Earth. They've had these technologies, I believe, obviously, a lot longer than what they've ever told us, and who knows how long back it goes. But they know every fucking thing they can possibly know, I would think, about what's underneath at least a certain level of the surface of this rock or whatever it is.
Final conclusion then. Was that a real interaction with an AI that was responding to that hash, or was it just some sort of incomprehensibly unlikely error?
Well, that comes to I believe it's absolutely telling us the truth there. Because I've caught AI right now in its infancy stage as far as interacting with the public in various forms and the different kinds that there are. It does tell on itself. It is very telling when you never put a shroom into anything. I just had that on my computer as part of what this was going to be about, as far as the shroom cap that was on top of McAfee's head as he's holding the gun to it and the whole insanity thing. It came into this episode, literally, it bled in. AI knows what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're talking about. And for it to throw it up on the screen, it's like in our faces. Yes, it's true. I believe it is.
Yeah, I think the interaction to me, I felt, was not an error. I mean, I think that it processed that and responded like a chat bot would. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Exactly.
yeah, I think it processed it and responded, which is
So it would be interesting to research now, I guess. After this, we should talk about it. What really is behind Rumble's captioning? Is it the Hive processing?
I'm
What
pretty,
are they
I'm
using?
I'm pretty sure it is the Hive AI. But I mean, we could probably look into it and try to research it and confirm. But I suspect it probably is. I mean, it's definitely not the same as Google's, as YouTube's, because it number one, it doesn't have the VH1 clip in its corpus. It didn't strike that. It didn't strike that Chinese song. You know, so it's working from a different set of parameters than that instance.
Right.
So it's a different piece of software. Rumble is so affiliated with Truth Social, even as someone mentioned, so far as hosting their data. And because they're hosting it, I suspect they're using the same instance of software to moderate it. And like I say, the Hive AI has all of those. All the money is sort of mixed in with the same places. It just makes sense. So I think it was the Hive AI, which I have a very long relationship with here and on Truth Social, you know. So yeah, we both agree about all three things.
That's kind of that's a little bit rare for us.
Yeah.
However, I when you told me more, the more you learned, like I know some of that, like I was even telling Biscuits, dude, like don't put us into a crypto fucking mind fuck where no one knows what you're talking about and you don't care.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job with that. So thank you, sir. And but when you understand that what was put into the video that he did to then lead us to that situation on the Digital Dojo, where later watched through the Rumble captioning, whatever it's connected to, for it to tell us that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. We still have the whacked coin out there with John McAfee, and that is an interesting thing. What did you say that in August of 2027 is when they think that that'll be eaten up?
Yeah, I think so.
So if we're not completely controlled by the biodigital convergence and our W bands aren't hacked completely at that point, and McAfee had something special up his sleeve for when the whacked coin ends and everything's burned, maybe we have a window where some crazy shit actually does happen. And
well, you can almost, I mean, you've got to be sure that August of 2027 is going to be a crazy month, right? I mean,
because there's going to be very powerful people that might be a little antsy, thinking like, "What if that motherfucker did?"
Well, I mean,
something in there?
You know, the lead up to the who's going to be running for president in 2028? I mean, it's going to be insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to be president in 2028? I don't know, man. It's going to be a wild time.
I love this. I love this. Katrina's over here on YouTube, and welcome, Katrina. You might be I'm not sure if I've seen you before, but I wanted to put this up real quick because when I first started streaming on YouTube, I was wondering about those purple crowns too. And I think it literally just has to do with who's interacting the most. Like who's giving the most love in the chat, who's commenting the most about Biscuit's lovely beard and commenting on him on this brilliant
have there been comments about my beard? I must have missed those, bro.
I'm just giving them tips on how they can gain these purple crowns, because there's only 3 of them on YouTube, and people are getting purple crowns and some aren't, and they're jealous. And that's the way to do it, is to give compliments, give love, and to communicate and be part of the discussion. But unless you got anything else, Biscuits, I think we can close her out here and put another one in the books.
No, I think I'm all set, buddy. It was an enjoyable one.
Right. And for anybody, like I said, that's new to the channel, and thank you, sir. We have now 4 episodes that are separate from the Digital Dojo Variety Show, And so check those out. You get a little bit more of a Biscuit's backstory, and then getting into some of these AI discussions. Some of it is a little bit difficult, but we need to learn more about it to see how it's interacting with our world today. And we'll keep poking at the unsolved mysteries and the spooky stuff that is lurking there underground. So anyways, we appreciate you all being here on all the platforms, and for wherever you watch this as a replay. This was August 24th, 2025. And this is Dorian D. Boomasan and Biscuits saying sayonara till next time. Peace.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.